Let's write that definition that it's two or more and it might be translations, reflections, or rotations. Performed after each other. I got him back here, Mr. Kwan. Sorry. Performed after each other. Sorry, I just grabbed them. Perfect, you got it. Two or more translations, reflections, or rotations performed after each other. Alright, so as we do this with points, the way that this looks is in our first point, when we make an ordered pair, we would name that like A. That's our original. That's our pre-image. That's our before. And then we're going to go to our first image that we would do, our first reflection, translation, or rotation. And we label that with that capital A, but we use that prime. So that's our A prime. But now we're going to do another translation or another reflection. So when we see that again, the second time, as we move, we're going to go from that A prime. We're not starting over at our pre-image. We're going to go to our A prime, and then based on that A prime, we're going to take A prime, and we're going to prime it again. So we actually do those two apostrophes. It kind of looks like a quotation mark. And we call that A double prime, because there's two of the primes. So A double prime. Okay, so it goes from our pre-image, our A, to our first image would be A prime, but then when we do a composition, we're doing it again, so we would call it A double prime. All right, you're going to get a glue in. You can go ahead and either glue it in on the left side or the right side, whichever makes the most sense to you. Leave some space because we are going to have some work to show next to it. So when you find that, go ahead and find your glue. If you haven't grabbed your two colors yet, those two colors are going to be helpful to see which one is which. I know I need to organize those boxes, so if you're bored today and you want to organize that box for me, you're more than welcome to do that any day. Alright, so go ahead and get that glued in. Alright, today on Alex, the way that the practice looks is it will give you the end picture and ask you what they did, and you'll have to come up with the rules here. Today, for our notes, we're going to take the rules and show what those pictures look like. We're going to try and imagine those a little bit. Okay, so quite a few people still gluing in, so I'll give you a second to get that finished. And then I'm going to be using green and pink. So you can grab two colors that you would like to use. All right, so on this first one, it's asking us to do a rotation of 180 degrees. So I'm going to put that one in pink. So pick one color to choose for this first one, rotation of 180 degrees. That is our first thing that we need to do. So that's our number one thing to do first. After we rotated 180 degrees, then we are going to do our translation, and I'm going to do that in the other color. So I'm just going to kind of show which one is which one we worked on, and that'll be our second thing to do. So we're combining these together. So if we imagine what this would look like, we're going to take this triangle, we're going to rotate it 180. So how far around the coordinate graph would that go? A quarter, a half, or 3/4? What does 180 tell us? Half. So we're going to go halfway around. So it'll kind of look like this triangle here going this way. And then we're going to move it 3, 2. So would that go up, down, left, or right? What would that positive 3 tell us to do? Right 3, and then up 2. So it's going to rotate 180. We're going to rotate it around. Then after we do that, we'll move it right and up. Okay? So to start off with, we need to do our rotation of 180, and we're still kind of working on that with writing out those points. So as I look at my rotation of 180, I'm going to write down those points, M, N, and P, and write down what are my ordered pairs for M, N, and P. Alright, so as I look at M, what is my X coordinate for M? Do I go left or right? I go right for M? Yeah, I just go up. I don't go left or right, so that's 0. And then we go up how many? 4. So 0, 4. What do we get for N? Right, how many? I think just 2, right? 1, 2, and then up 5. Okay, we're just finding these endpoints of our triangles. And then P. 3, -1, good. Alright, so we're looking for that rotation of 180. It doesn't say clockwise or counterclockwise, because 180 means we're just flipping it around halfway. On Alex, for some reason, when they had you do the rotation, they did put counterclockwise and clockwise, so make sure you're following that, but that's silly. I don't know. Alex is silly. Alright, so if I flip back to my rotations, where is my rule for 180? Here's my 90 to 70. Oh, 180 right in the middle here. So my 180 rule is to do opposite X, opposite Y. Opposite X, opposite Y. So XY will change to opposite X, opposite Y. We're not changing the order at all. We're just going to change everything to the opposite. So 0, 4. What's the opposite of 0? 0. What's the opposite of 4? -4. 2, 5 is going to change to -2, -5. And what would 3, -1 change to? 3, what? +1, but -3, yep. That's all right. We're really excited about that negative changing to a positive. All right, then we're going to plot those points. So that's how we do rotations. Is usually the easiest right now as we're still getting our introduction to it. Some people are getting better at just being able to kind of visualize what's going to happen. If you're not good at that visualizing, write them down. It doesn't, I know it feels like it's going to take longer. Yes, it does, but it won't take that much longer. All right, so we have M prime is 0, -4. So 0 tells us don't go left or right. just go down 4. So we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. N prime is -2, -5. So left 2, down 5. And then P prime is -3, +1. So we'll go left 3, up 1. And then I'm going to use my green, or sorry, I'm going to use my pink, because I did pink up here. So I'm going to use my pink to connect those. If you'd like to, you could like shade it in pink, if that would make more sense to you. But I'm going to use my ruler here so that I can see that it stayed the same shape. So you can like outline it in that color. If you've already outlined it in pencil, you could color it in, shade it in. So we can see that that was our first translation, or sorry, first transformation. Now, based on that that rotation, we're now going to do a translation of 3, 2. So when I think of 3, 2, does anyone remember what we call those translations that look like an ordered pair, but they have those little bendy parts at the sides? It was the bad guy from Despicable Me. Vector. Awesome. So does 3 tell us to go left or right? Right 3. Good. And what does 2 tell us to do? Up 2. So for each point, we start at the point, and we're just going to go right 3, up 2. Right 3, up 2. So the big thing here is we're doing it from the pink one, our new prime. We're not going back. We're done with this old one. It's like it's gone. It's out of our memory. We're taking it from this pink one. We're going to go right 3, up 2. So from this P prime, I'm going to put my pencil on the P prime. We're going to go right 3, 1, 2, 3, and then up 1, 2. Now, I want to say that originally this came from P, but we didn't just do one change to it. We did 2. So I'm going to do that P and then the double prime. 2 tick marks next to it. Can't really see because I'm zoomed out. Okay, originally it started here at P, then it went to P prime, and then went to P double prime. All right, M, we're going to go right 3, up 2. We get M double prime. So we're just going right 3, up 2. All right, and then same thing with N prime here. We're going to go right 3, 1, 2, 3, up 1, 2. We get N double prime. All right, I did my translation in green. This is where I'm going to use my second color today to show that this is my second job. So I'm going to do that one in green, my second transformation. So you can see that there's 2 things that happened there. It rotated 180 degrees, and it moved to the right 3, up 2. How are we feeling? Make sense? A little bit? So it's just taking what we've already done and just combining those parts. All right, we have one more example that we're going to do together here. This one is going to combine a reflection and then a rotation. So what does a reflection tell us it's going to do? Reflection means to switch, to flip, to reverse. Good. So it's going to reverse first, and then it's going to rotate. What does rotate tell us to do? Turn, and it's clockwise. So we're going to have to think about that when we get there. So I'm going to do the same colors with mine. I'm going to do this pink one first, this reflection over x equals 1. That's my first thing it tells me to do. We have to go in order, otherwise our end product won't look the same. It's kind of like when you're making cookies. Can you just bake the flour right away and then mix in the eggs?
Yeah.
No. To mix the eggs first and then mix it together and then put it in the oven. Okay, so it's kind of like a recipe. We have to follow step by step what we're doing first and second. All right, so our first one is a reflection over x equals 1. So for x equals 1, if you want to use like a highlighter, you could, or if you want to use another color, we're going to highlight where that is, or if you just want to use your pencil, that's fine too. So we're going to find where's x1. So on my x-axis, where is 1? From the origin, would that be up 1 or right 1? Cool, it'd be right 1. Good job. So at that 1 right there, would I want to draw a horizontal line through it? Or would I draw a vertical line through it to make a new line? Vertical. If I draw a horizontal line, that would just be the x-axis, and it would say reflect over x-axis. I want x equals 1, so I'm going to do that vertical line through that. So if you want to grab a highlighter, or if you want to just grab a different color, that's going to be that reflection over x equals 1. All right, so to reflect, we're going to flip, which means we do our opposite. So as I think to this yellow line, C is 2 spots away. So it's going to go right 1, 2. And then instead of going right 2, we're going to go left 2. And there's our C prime. Hopefully you're feeling you're kind of at the point where you feel like you know how to do these reflections. We're flipping them over. All right, D is only 1 away to the right, so I'm going to go back to the yellow line. That's really important that we're going back to our reflection line. We're going to go 1 to the left. So it actually ends up on our y-axis. All right, and then our A, again, is right 1, so we're going to go left 1. And then B would be right 1, 2, 3, so we go left 1, 2, 3. All right, I did that in pink. That's my first one, so I'm going to connect those with a pink colored pencil. You could connect them, or if you want to shade them in. Or if your brain just works where you're like, cool, I know that's the first one. The thing is that sometimes these are going to overlap a little silly, so it's important that we are able to tell which one is which, kind of how those shapes go together. So there's our first flip. That's our reflection. All right, now we need to do our rotation. For our rotation, right now as beginner rotators, we're going to take time to write down the ordered pairs. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. I'm going to write my ordered pairs off to the side. So we have 4 of them. We have A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. All right, we're listing those ordered pairs out. So as I look at A prime, now when we talk about these ordered pairs, some people, they get a little confused because they look at this yellow line and they think this yellow line is the new y-axis. That yellow line was only there for us to flip. Now we're going back to our normal graph. So is it like an A prime? Is it left, right, up, or down? Yeah, it's just up 2 from that origin. So 0, 2. What do we got for B prime? Good, left 2, so negative 2. Up 2. So up 2 would be positive 2. So negative 2, 2. That one. C prime. Left 1, down 2. Negative 1, negative 2. And then D prime. 0, 1. Awesome. Nice work, guys. All right, so that's our first step when we do rotations, is writing down our current ordered pairs. But now we're going to find our rule. And when we do our rule with 270 and 90, it's really important we know if we're going clockwise, are we going up and around, or are we going counterclockwise, down and around. Here it tells us we're doing clockwise. So when I go back to that page, I need to find 270 clockwise. So is 270 clockwise this one up here? Or is 270 clockwise the one on the bottom? Yeah, it's this top one. So yesterday, or when we did this, 2 days ago, Friday, CCW stood for counterclockwise. So if you need to write that next to it, that this is counterclockwise. That one's counterclockwise. Up here at the top, we had 90 degrees counterclockwise. But that was the same as 270 degrees clockwise. So we're actually following this top one. Okay? So really important you know what that CCW and the CW meant. If you didn't know, go ahead and write that counter in. So you know this is 90 degrees counterclockwise. But that's the same thing as 270 degrees clockwise. And that's what we're doing, is that clockwise part. So this tells us we're going to take XY, and we're going to change it to opposite Y, X. So we're going to take our XY, and we're going to change it so that it goes opposite Y, X. Now this is the one, especially when they change order, I like to do it all the first one and then all the second one rather than doing it point by point by point. I'm noticing most of you like to do it that way. Some people are really good at doing each one individually. So I'm going to think A double prime, B double prime, C double prime, and D double prime. So I like to start with that opposite Y first, and I like to do it with all of them because then I can just look, I can cover up my X's, and I want to take these Y's and do opposite. So what's opposite of 2? Negative 2. Opposite of 2? Negative 2. Opposite of negative 2? 2. Opposite of 1? Negative 1. All right, and then we're just going to list the X's. The X's don't change. We're just putting the X's in the next spot. So I'm going to cover up my Y's, and I'm going to just write these X's. 0, negative 2, negative 1, 0. Does that kind of make sense the way, if that's not the way that you do it, some people are really good at looking and they do it each one individually. And that's fine. Once we have those points, we just plot those points. And then we'll be done. So go ahead and plot those points if you want to work ahead. If you're like really confused where those points go, pay attention, we'll do it together. It's going to look a little silly because there's going to be a little bit of some overlap here. So we have negative 2, 0. So that would be left 2. That's going to be our A double prime. Negative 2, negative 2. So left 2, down 2. That's going to be our B double prime. 2, -1. So right 2. Oop, I almost started at that yellow line. Start at the origin. Right 2, down 1. There's our C double prime. And then our D double prime is -1, 0. So left 1. And this one is kind of goofy. There's overlap here. So it's really important that's where I'm using those 2 colors, because it can get a little goofy to try and see how those work together. So when we talk about that 270 clockwise, that kind of part, oh my gosh, my words today. That part is a little hard for some people to think about. So clockwise, when we think clockwise, which way does a clock normally go? If this is noon, where would?
Right.
Yep, it would go right. So we're going to rotate this B, would go over 1, that's 90, 2, and then 3. That would be our 250. 2 times around would be our 180. So to the right, 1 quadrant would be 1, 2, and then 3. So same thing like C prime here is in quadrant 3. So if I go up, I go over 1, 2, and then 3. All right, so make sure you have that all finished. And then there is an Alex assignment today. Like I said, it's all going to mostly be in words. The first 2 problems are going to be where you actually graph the point. We want points that you graph. So if you need to take out a graph paper to do it, otherwise you can follow your rules. No, I didn't that.
What's your best?
All right, tomorrow we're going to practice this on paper. We're going to actually take some time to draw out these things and double check that we're doing them right on paper. Oh no.